It weighed 180 pound. I was a younger man then. I caught up the Pierce Valley. The last dog standing on it is that dog there, Z. I had to put her down a year later for hocking my other dogs. But the dog that actually pulled it up and stopped it was Chun, and there's its head right there. You can see the tusks broken down, it cracked there, but I glued it back up because this pig was important to me. 180 pound, the biggest pig I've ever caught. And the dog that stopped it, Chun, was a bloody trail barker. So this video, I'm making it for particularly you hunters that struggle with dogs that trail bark and to answer a few questions. Today is the first day of autumn in New Zealand and the weather's cooler and I'm already thinking, stuff the fishing, I want to go hunting again. So let's talk about it. Right, we'll kick this one in the guts. It's a real hot topic, trail barking. A lot of dogs have trail barking bred into them. A lot of dogs like Hunterways here in New Zealand have got that bark. A lot of hounds, bloodhounds have got it bred into them. So dogs naturally do it and they've had it from years and years of breeding and now we don't want it. Trail barking is not the end of the world. It is if you're a place like Nelson here where it's thick forest and blackberry and gorse you're hunting in because the dog can't see the pig and as soon as he starts barking and lets the pig know where he is, the pig is off and the dog can't find him generally. If it's in an open country like say over in Blenheim or North Canterbury or Central Otago where it's open and the dog can see the pig, he can bark as much as he wants and the pig can hear him and know where he is, but still the dog can see where to go and often will catch the pig. Sometimes trail barking even stuffs pigs up, they panic and they do stupid things and they get caught. So it's not always the end of the world like a lot of hunters think. But from my experience here in Nelson, if your dog's trail barking, you don't catch pigs. So I had Choppy, who was a trail barker, and my mate and patron Steve Forsyth took him over in Blenheim, and Choppy caught quite a large number of pigs, and by himself with Steve and his son Jonty. Sadly, Choppy got killed. He got tangled up in a wiggy-wig bush when he was chasing a pig and got strangled to death. He died what he's doing. Anyway, what are the solutions to the problem trail barking if you're a pig owner and you've got a dog that trail barks? Well, the most common solution to the problem is generally that. There's a wee problem with that though, is it's not a temporary fix, it's a permanent fix and you lose your dog. And let's face it, getting a dog to the state or the age where it's out hunting in the field costs you a load of time, money, work. It's not something you take lightly. Having said that, a lot of hunters will just go, nah, stuff it, boom. Sometimes people will put animals down out of anger. It might be because it's trail barking or because it's not stock proof because you haven't done your homework right or you can't stock proof it. Might have done a possum one too many times or a goat one too many times. Generally, if you kill an animal out of anger, and I've done it, you'll regret it. And I'll share that with you, that little story. I was here at the old farmhouse about 10 years ago and I'd separated two of my sheep and they started baying because sheep like to hang out together. And I had them both on chains on a wire. So I got up in the night, I was bloody tired. I had my knife in case I had to cut the rope. Went out to the sheep, grabbed it by the collar, and I went to put, it was on a chain, and grabbed it by the collar, and I was letting the chain out a little bit to shift it, and suddenly this thing just took off, straight my arms out, and then of course it came to the end of its chain, and then it started going around, and first of all it went around my legs, and I was in bloody shorts, so it started to tangle up my legs, and then it got to the top, and by the time it started going around my neck, I thought, fuck, I'm in trouble, and I grabbed the chain and pulled it in. I was choking, and I grabbed the collar, I took my knife out, and I actually stuck it and then cut its throat. And I lay on the ground there, and it was out of anger. I could have controlled it and pulled it in and released it and let it run and got it in the morning, but I killed it out of anger. And then of course it's bloody middle of the night and I've got this fucking sheep I've got to deal with, you know, like hang it up and drop its guts out, and I just, yeah, so generally don't, as a rule, kill anything out of anger. That's my experience with that. So let's talk about solutions. Well, a lot of things have changed in the time I started pig hunting when I was a young fella, and my first pig hunt was with patron and good bastard Wayne Robertson, who was just around here today to drop me some fish and venison off. Hey Wayne. And I was 8 years old. It was the farm dogs. We're out there at Wainui, and all we had was a bit of binder twine around our hips with a sheath knife or probably a skilling knife and some farm dogs, and that was how we caught pigs back then. If they barked, no one really cared. We've come a long way since then. We've had MN10 tracking gear, and then we've gone to, of course, the Garmin and the TT15s, and these are a bloody godsend for training your collar. You've got the vibrate function, and of course you've got the old zap function. And I've stuck it on my leg. I don't know how you blokes stick it around your neck, because it fucking hurts on your leg. I've tested it on myself, and it's enough to, yeah, to make you wake up, let's say that. So these are a great tool if used properly. Can you fix a dog from trail barking? Yes, you can. If you look at my very first video, it's 2007. It was my dog Chun. He was a greyhound cross English bull terrier, and he's on the mudflats up Malam and D'Urville Island, and I've got this big old mastiff who's pretty much useless. He was just a pup. He's sort of barking, but Chun had caught this pig. He actually had trail barked on a little bit then, and he'd stopped it, and he was swinging off it, and the rest was history. I've still got his tusks up there somewhere, good 3-inch prongs. So that's the size. A lot of them on D'Urville, they had these really big prongs. Not a big pig. It was 103 pound. I wish it was 300 pound. I get excited just thinking about that one. How do I fix it? Well, back then we used to have hot collars that weren't attached to the unit either, so they were separate. They were solely hot collars for training. And what I did with Chun, and I've done this with 2 dogs since, one with really good results, the other one didn't work so well, so it doesn't always work, is I sat Chun in my old Land Cruiser beside me in the truck, and I'd have the other dogs running out front in the forestry with the hot collar around his neck. We'd let the dogs run, have the air vents open, the windows open, but not so he could jump out, drive down the forestry road. Soon as the dogs all got scent and they'd take off, he'd start to bark, and I'd zap him straight away. I'd zap him. So he's not getting a shock because he's chasing a pig, he's beside me, he's getting a zap, and he's relating it to his intent to start barking when he smelt the pig. Now there's a risk in that. You could say, oh, it could actually stock proof your dog against pigs, but it never did with Chun, because I would keep running, and then when the dogs hit the pig, I'd let him out of the truck, and he'd already been zapped for barking in the truck. He'd run to the pig, latch onto it, lots of praise. I did it 3 times. The first time was a failure, it didn't work, he still barked in the way of the pig. Second time he'd been zapped so much he wasn't going to bark at all. And the third time, problem solved, and he never ever, actually not true, there was 1 time only he barked after that, just 1 time out of all the hundreds of times I hunted him. And that dog today is retired, living with a bloke called Peter, who's in his, I think he's in his 90s now, and he sleeps on a heated floor in the winter, and he's allowed to chase rabbits around the farm, and he must be 16 years of age now, and he's still alive. Because I don't put down retired pig dogs. I think if they served me for that many years as he did, then they deserve to have a nice retirement. So there's one method that has worked for me. The second method I've had, I would say 40-45% success rate with this. It's sophisticated, takes up a lot of setting, a lot of expense. It's not my favourite way of doing it. The way in the truck is much better because you've got sort of better control over it, but it's one of these, okay? You set it up, it's a GoPro, you set it up on the dog with your smartphone and also with the TT15 Garmin collar, so you can track it as well, but also hit the buzz or the electrocute in this case. So how do you do it? I use a collar from Game Gear. You've probably seen me film Poe with it, and I set the Wi-Fi up. Now this is limited to sort of inside about 100 meters, okay? So if it's a pig further out, it doesn't work. So what you get is you get a live picture fed back to you on the phone, so you can ascertain whether the dog is trail barking right on the pig's ass, which is acceptable, or if it's actually trail barking on the trail and not on the pig. If it's barking on the pig's ass, not a problem. Not going to make any difference because the dog can see the pig. If it's barking on a trail, you zap it. You zap it. And you could say, oh well, that's gonna stop proof it against a pig and catching pigs and stop them getting it. It doesn't do that. I've done it, like I said, about 40-45% success rate. It is difficult to set up and it's hard to implement. It sounds, in theory, sounds good, but I've tried it quite a few times and I've had probably more than half times it's failed. I've either lost signal, it's gone out, or I haven't been able to coordinate all things together. But it is an option, and if there's 2 of you working together, it's bloody great. I've always done it by myself. You've got one man on the smartphone and also on the actual camera. It's a lot easier, and he can go, yep, means that, hit it, bang. There's always a risk that you end up stuffing the dog up using a hot collar, whatever you're doing. You've got to do them, always zap them on intent. That means when they're going to do it, or as they are doing it, about 1 to 1.5 seconds after that. If you zap it too late, dog's already forgotten what it's getting zapped for, and it's relating it to their moment at that time, and that's where people stuff up with hot collars. The other option, of course, is to rehome your dog as a pet. And you know, that's what I ended up doing with Chun. When at first I couldn't succeed with him, I rehomed him as a pet, and that's how I met Awi. And she took him in because I'd given up, and I then got him back and spent more time working with him, and she'd done some time, and that's when we actually solved the problem. So there's the other thing which probably deserves some mention, is sometimes dogs get better. Chun still trail barked, but he trail barked a lot better after a rest in the kennel. There's a number of reasons why dogs trail bark. One is they're breeding, they've been trained to. The other is they're frustrated that the other dogs aren't getting there, and they are not, let's say, confident enough to stop the pig by himself. They're saying, come on, I need backup, I need backup. The other one is they're always going to do it, and no matter what you do, it's just about impossible. That's the dog that you either rehome or you give it a bullet if you don't want to go to the trouble of finding someone to give it a better life than you can give it. To my thinking, a dog deserves better than that. I've never shot a dog for trail barking, and I'm not dissing anybody who has. It's your business, but me personally, I just love dogs too much, and I have put down a number of dogs over the years, and every one, it bloody kills me. And I'll probably put down more in the future, because all my really old dogs, that's what happens generally if I'm not giving them to someone else to retire. Eventually they've got to go, don't they? I hope this has been of value. Put your comments down below for other pig hunters, for things that have worked for you. Good luck this season with pig hunting. I am just so eager to get into it. It's been too long, man, but the weather's cooling. Ooh, time to get myself and the dogs fit. Be good, can't be good, be careful. See you later.